In that moment, Talion felt his heart pound out of his chest. The beat was so intense he could feel it in his entire body. He was utterly terrified, shaken right down to his core, and yet there was this sudden feeling, like a rush, like the gate to something opened wide, like something was coming out, but he didn't know what. A massive surge of heat came over his body, like his blood boiling in his veins, and suddenly, for Talion, everything went dark. He was no longer conscious, no longer aware of anything. It seemed like the whole world just disappeared, and he found himself drifting. He felt like he was just floating somewhere, like he was surrounded by water on all sides, floating inside of a body of water. But he could breathe just fine. Where was he? What was this? What was going on, he thought to himself. Simply floating there. Everything around him seemed to be glowing, like he was surrounded by light, a thin silver light that seemed to emanate from everywhere, as if the water he was in was made of a silver glow. But he didn't know what it was or where he was. It didn't make any sense at all. I mean, he was about to get eaten by that monster. How did he end up here? But that was only what Talion was experiencing, or at least his consciousness, his mind. The outside world was a completely different story, and nowhere near as calm or serene. As the creature reached its way down towards Talion, seeking to clutch him in its grasp, and that gate opened wide. Suddenly a look came over Talion. Not frightened, not afraid, no, a terrifying expression, like pure fury and rage. The glow in his eyes deepened. His hair began to raise, as if it was being pulled aloft by a breeze that wasn't there. The long silver strands beginning to glow a vibrant silver tone. And suddenly, Talon got back up, rapidly, pulling not to his 2 feet, but on all fours, like a wild animal, his tail whipping behind him, slamming into the ground, cracking the earth and stone beneath it. The creature reaching down at him paused for a moment, as if it was unsure of what was going on. But after seeing Talon get back up, it increased its pace, trying to reach rapidly in his direction. Talion didn't move an inch. Rather, something unusual happened. Something that until that very instant had never happened before. Talion opened his mouth wide, and suddenly it was like a tornado kicked up, wind circling from everywhere, all of it being drawn towards Talion's mouth, strong enough that even the creature in front of him, this massive entity, started to be pulled in. Its hand was first, getting caught in that powerful inward flow of wind. The creature tried to pull back, to pull away, but it was absolutely useless. The harder it tried to pull, the more useless it seemed to be, and it only seemed to get dragged further inward. As it struggled against this inward pull, its feet dug into the ground, also useless. The ground tore away beneath it, flying into this inward funneling tornado. And like that, the creature's entire body began to be drawn in, siphoned into that void, as by all appearances, Talion ate the monster, engulfing its entire form, along with a large amount of debris, swallowing down its misty body and slamming his mouth shut behind it, and with a solid gulp, swallowing it down. Talion's teacher, who was nearby at the time, was completely astonished. "What the hell was that?" he said, staring vacantly at Talion, now on all fours, just done swallowing down the illusion that he created. And as he finished, again something strange began to occur. Talion's body began to emit pulses, radiant waves of energy, wind that pulsed outward like shock waves, one after another. Burst, 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 like an accelerating heartbeat, each shock wave widening, going out further, a silvery burst of energy in all directions, tearing the ground and earth below him, widening the crater he sat in every pulse, making it bigger and bigger, more earth and stone kicking up, being flung away. All of a sudden, Talion stood back up to full height on his two legs, taking in a massive breath and releasing an earth-shattering roar. A roar so loud that it seemed to shake the world. Everything vibrated. Wind rushed out from his location. Massive trees swayed in the breeze, almost looking like they would topple over or be ripped from their rooted place. All the while, that roar filled the air, making everything shake. It felt as if there was an earthquake going on. The sound was deafening, so loud it felt like it might make your eardrums pop, as one last massive burst of silvery energy shot out into the sky like a directed pulse. The fog that filled the area around seeming to be pushed back, clearing everything. And as the pulse shot into the sky, it was like there was an explosion in the air that cleared the skyline itself, leaving a massive hole in the clouds that filled the sky, pushing everything away from the central location where Talion stood. And with that, there was more. As if all of that wasn't enough, suddenly, Talion's teacher began to see mist, fog, start to slowly billow out from Talion's body, wrapping around him, forming a shape. All the while, from Talion's head, two very large horns protruded outward, bending and curving up, back behind his body. And soon, those horns and Talion's tail were the only thing left of Talion's body that you could actually see. The rest of it was completely shaded, blocked out by a thick, white fog that carried a silvery tone. As Talion dropped back down to all fours, his hands crushing into the ground beneath him, and those blue eyes peering out. The blue glow that they usually emitted, far more intense, now almost carrying fire, as if his pupils were on fire, those snake-like slits burning with the desire, a primal instinct to destroy. And the fog that encompassed his body took a very particular shape. It was not one that didn't suit him. The fog seemed to take the shape of a dragon in its natural state. Not in size, but in form. It was clearly there. What the hell is this? Talion's teacher thought to himself, glaring at him as this transformation took place. I understand that he's a dragon, and a high-level demon at that. But what the hell is that? And is Is that my power? Is he using my ability? How the hell can he even do that? This just went way south, he said, peering at him, as Talon looked over, as if he heard what he was saying. From nearly 600 yards away, those blue, fiery, snake-like slit eyes immediately honed in on him. Oh yeah, this is definitely gonna be bad.